And of course it's a bargaining chip. We can't sell a Ford or GM in Europe. You go to Europe, you can't sell a Ford or GM. Why? There's 100% tariffs. How about in Japan? 100% tariffs. So do you think if we said, we're going to tariff you the way you tariff us, do you think they're going to allow Mercedes and all these Japanese companies and Porsches and BMWs to all of a sudden have 100% tariffs in America? Of course not. They're going to come and negotiate, and their tariffs are going to come down. And finally, Ford and General Motors are going to be able to sell in these places.
How's that sound, Andrew? That sounds...
Of course they're going to come down. Of course. This is just negotiating.
It absolutely makes sense. If you do it strategically, if it's across the board, it creates a real problem. And the question is whether you believe the president is going to do it strategically or across the board. He keeps saying it across the board.
Well, when you're running for office, you make broad statements so people understand you.
Right.
Okay? Tariffs are an amazing tool by the president to use. They're an amazing tool, but he understands don't tariff stuff we don't make. Right? If we don't make it, and you want to buy it, I don't want to put the price up there. It's pointless, but use tariffs to build in America. If we want to make it in America, tariff it, or if we're competing with it, tariff it. But you got to remember, we need to protect the American worker. Finally, someone's going to protect the American worker, and Donald Trump is here to protect the American worker.
Do you think we make a lot of money in tariffs?
Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. Well, we're a couple of weeks on from the MAGA landslide, and as we enter into the golden era, as Trump would call it, many economists are saying that, well, hold on now, it actually might not be a perfectly smooth journey. And these aren't the strange economists who, for whatever reason, seem to think Harris's proposed plan, whatever it was, would be a good idea. No, many are saying, as Trump proposes America First policies, that for a short term, there will possibly be strong trade tensions. Now, that's nothing new. But what is new is how these global trade conflicts will shake out and affect the consumer, especially when it comes to your travel. And the reason for that is actually rather simple. Where do you think all the airlines and manufacturers import their products from? I'm sure at least some of you guessed it, right? From China. Boeing, Airbus, all of them. So with tariffs being applied to these products and before the MAGA administration facilitates the moving of manufacturing jobs back to the United States, what's going to happen to the price of airfares and travel? It looks like it's going to skyrocket. The most insidious part about all of this is actually China plans to sort of skirt the tariffs. They want to ship the parts first to Mexico and then import them to the United States, circumventing the tariffs. Will this keep the cost of airfares down? Absolutely not. In fact, watch the airlines jack up the prices and then turn around and blame the tariffs that aren't even being paid. It's an elitist cash grab of huge proportions. So what exactly can you do if you simply just want to travel in the next couple of years? Well, joining me today is my favorite travel expert, Roger Kleckner. Now, listen, Roger's company, Miles Mentor, these guys are amazing because they have helped thousands of people travel the world, yeah, I kid you not, for free. He has systems, training, and education to help you avoid the elitist price hikes in the coming years and maybe even travel more than you ever have and for a fraction of the price. Pretty incredible stuff. Actually, just personally, Roger saved me and the Turley Talks company over $60,000 this year alone in travel. Remember that cruise we went on in August? That was Roger helping us out. I kid you not, $60,000. We couldn't have done it without him. So you need to chat with him and his team as always. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the description below. But more about that later. Let's talk about what's going on here with possible price hikes in travel. Roger, welcome back. Great to see you again.
Thanks, Steve. Nice to be on the show again.
Well, it's great to have you. And I appreciate you're kind of my go-to guy with regard to traveling. So give us your vantage point of what's really going on here in light of all the new tariffs that look like they're going to be coming down the pike. How is it going to affect travel? You're on the front lines of this. So what should we be looking out for when it comes to travel?
Okay, well, first, I just want to say, since the election in the travel industry, it's like an earthquake.
Wow.
And as you know, between now and Inauguration Day, there is so much going on. And so a lot of people are keeping their information kind of close to the chest, but we can also see, how things are going to be panning out, or what are the priorities of the Trump administration. So first, I want to tell you, I'm not a political guy. I just know a lot about travel. And so I'm just going to do like a download of some information about travel, about what your listeners can expect, what kind of coming in under this new administration, because it's going to be a lot different than what the Biden administration tried to do as well. So one, I also want to say is the financial markets in New York, they didn't really care who won the election. They all, because they kind of factor all this stuff in. All they care about are corporate earnings and corporate profits.
Right.
And so they kind of factored this all in. And so for them, it was kind of irrelevant who got in, because they're on a completely different agenda. And so the market spike that happened on November 6th, the 1,400 points that went up, was a reflection of the results of the election. So that kind of like rearranged all the chess pieces on the chessboard.
Right.
So from what I can tell, okay, as we're going into this, is the Trump priorities are going to focus on two particular things. The first ones are tariffs. And we've heard a lot about tariffs on the stump speeches that Trump's been giving. And the other key issue is immigration, illegal immigration and migration issues. So for these two things, they're actually kind of really related to the travel industry. And so to be clear, what is a tariff? And a tariff is a tax that's imposed by one country on imported goods from another country. Okay, so think about the United States trying to protect itself against all of our allies and adversaries around the world. Elon Musk, as you know, already said that these tariffs will create hard times for the U.S. in the short term, because it may raise prices on the U.S. consumers. Mm-hmm. So if Trump does put what he says he does, and I believe we should take him at his word, is a 20% across the board tariffs for products that are coming into the U.S., except for China, and because they are not a good actor, possibly up to 65% tariff against China. But you also, and I'm going to do positives and negatives here, you can expect these countries to reciprocate in kind or take countermeasures, and then they'll be engaged in a number of trade wars, as well as anti-competitive activities, what they've already done. And a lot of people ask me, when can they expect this to already happen? Well, actually, it started on November 6th. So one of the key examples is how the markets are reacting, and how the globe is reacting to the Trump election. Is after November 5th, the euro started dropping dramatically against the U.S. dollar. It's been plummeting. Okay. And it's like, and this hurts U.S. exports or imports into the U.S. So Europe started kind of countering that they're going to hit with a tariff. And I actually expect the euro to drop below the dollar by January 20th. Wow. So this will be the first time that the dollar will be cheaper than the euro in over 20 years. And this is going to be very good for U.S. consumers that want to travel internationally or travel abroad.
Definitely. I'm just saying, my son's in Europe right now. I'm thinking, well, his dollar's going a long way now, as I think.
It's going to get better.
Wow.
And so I see that is if there was a time to travel, picking 2025 to travel internationally, it's going to be a good thing. So there's some positive things and negative things. On the negative thing, I'm sorry, go on.
No, you go right ahead, because I was going to be very curious about. Well, yeah, go do the negative, but I was also wanting to bring in the immigration in as well.
Well, the immigration's coming. So for the foreigners trying to come to the U.S., this is the flip side of the coin. Okay, it's going to make travel to the U.S. a lot more expensive. And also, Europe in particular have fears to come to the U.S. because of our immigration policy. So there's legal immigration, there's illegal immigration, but for Europeans, they're kind of sensitive about this. And so one sense is they don't like to be put in U.S. databases, and so they think that we're a nation that is not necessarily foreigner friendly. And so the last time under the first administration, global tourism went up that year, but the tourism by foreigners to the U.S. went down about 4.6%, and the U.S. lost $4.6 billion in foreign spending in the U.S., and 40,000 tourist jobs in the U.S. were lost because foreigners didn't come here.
Wow.
So
that's fascinating.
On immigration, okay, there was a chill in the air for everyone with either temporary or no status, to be in the U.S. And a lot of those people are involved with tourism. And so a lot of those are janitorial services. They work in restaurants. They're the hotel cleaning service. They're in construction. They're in landscaping. Okay, this has put a chill for all these other people. And so they either want to self-deport or otherwise they're fearful about going to work because they think they may be deported. So it's going to be harder for U.S. companies to fill those particular jobs. So if you're traveling domestically or internationally coming to the U.S., there's going to be higher prices for your hotels, higher prices for your restaurants. The restaurant hours may be shorter. The amount of service may be better because these workers kind of filled in that particular gap. Right. So the other thing is that a lot of people, including the airlines, expected that this is going to be a boon. Donald Trump said he's going to drill. He's going to increase energy inside. And the other thing is Biden's Green New Deal. Okay, so the Green New Deal is going to be killed. Okay? Right, it's flat out, it's gone. Okay,
yeah.
So then the airline stocks all went up because they said all the regulations on the airlines, what they're going to do is they're going to, they said that it's going to get off of the backs of the airlines and they can go back to traditional fuels and it's going to be cheaper. And everybody's perceiving that airfare is going to get cheaper. Okay, well that actually doesn't happen. Yes, fuel costs are going to go down, and the cost of jet fuel is going to go down. But I don't think it's going to be any cheaper because the corporations, what they're going to do is they're going to use the tariffs as an excuse to keep prices high. And then they're going to give the revenue to their shareholders of the airlines. So also after January 5th, the airlines actually made, their stocks are all up. So the airlines are happy about this. And they also they think you have a boogeyman to actually say to keep their prices higher, and it's actually going to hurt the American consumer.
The last time you were on, Roger, you did talk about just how, I mean, yeah. I want to be sympathetic. I want to find a good word, but shall we say optimistic in their pricing? The way airlines will start off the tickets price. We often think that we buy early, we're getting the best price, but you pointed out like tickets change like 60. The price changed like 60 times over the course of when they're first made public. Did I remember that correctly?
That is correct. On average, 62 times it changes. And then also so I want to make sure that this gives value for your listeners. So after the Christmas holidays, this is when everybody starts to travel their summer trip. That's absolutely the worst time to travel to try to book your summer holiday trips because the airlines know that that's the time you look for your trip, and that's the time that actually prices are its highest.
It's so counterintuitive to what we're thinking. That's so good you say that.
Yeah. So the other thing you brought up is about our good friends in China, and I'm not a fan of China, and China is a predator nation, and China has a history of manipulating markets for their own benefit over our U.S. industries, which includes travel. This drives up U.S. costs for U.S. companies, and also they put U.S. workers at a disadvantage for emerging businesses.
So it's your view that China definitely intentionally makes travel harder and will in the short term.
I can tell you more about that. So first, the two, Trump's already hit China with two tariffs already, and it's primarily in aluminum and steel. Well, what are airplanes made out of?
Right.
And so what China has also done is because to give the U.S. manufacturers, specifically Boeing, access to the Chinese market, they made a Faustian deal with the Chinese. And they said, look, we'll give you access to the Chinese market only if we control the parts that go into your airplane that are manufactured in the U.S., and they must come from China to be part of the distribution. Wow. So they said, you get access to our markets, but we sell you the parts. Okay. Well, then they drove out the other U.S. manufacturers, And so now Boeing is completely dedicated on the Chinese market for the parts to build their aircraft. Now they're going to get hit with a 65% tariff, and it's going to make the price of Boeing aircraft much more expensive than Airbus. And so 70% of Boeing's sales are outside of the United States. So basically, China screwed the Boeing, and they're kind of like together, their marketplace. And so just 2 days ago, Boeing is already reacting to that. They laid off 17,000 workers.
Wow.
So 17,000 workers that were voters in the unions that were on the aircraft. They struck a deal. They got them back to work. Then they laid them all off.
Wow. Oh, dang. So what can people do? I mean, it sounds like the price. I mean, I'm just hearing prices going up and up and up. What can people do if they still want to travel, see the world in the next couple of years?
So there's two different. There's domestic travel, okay, and we have to look at these in two different buckets. Okay, and the first bucket is your listeners that are planning to take holidays and travel either by car or by train or by plane. And then with the lower energy costs, which are going to be part of the elimination of the Green New Deal sort of thing, it is going to make a fuel cost cheaper in the U.S. So actually, and also the economic messages that Trump's putting forward is he wants to put more money into workers' pockets. So actually, wage growth should actually be up. Fuel costs should be down. So domestically, I really don't see a change in the airfares than what you're currently paying now. But there is some deregulation of the airlines. And so, Trump is more merger friendly. So you're going to see some mergers in the airlines, which is going to decrease competition. But also, they're going to have more of a free hand for the pricing. There's going to be there's going to be less incentive for them to hold prices down because they have less market. So one, I'm actually optimistic about domestic travel. And the second thing is that for international travel, it's a good time for United States people to go abroad because the dollar is going to be strong. The airfares are going to be about the same, but then the price of the aircrafts are going to go up. And I believe that the airlines are going to increase the prices of different travel, because of the tariffs that are going to be placed upon them. The second thing is that the planes that are going to be used, there's a lot of people that have a lot of orders in to get brand new planes, which are much more fuel efficient. Okay, with the 65% tariff on China, that means that it's going to be much more expensive to buy a new plane. Right. So what they're going to do is they're going to just buy the parts, possibly from third-party countries like Mexico, to bring in different areas to try to get different parts to keep their planes going. So I believe that they're actually going to put off the purchase of more planes, and they're just going to fix up their planes for the next 3 or 4 years because it's cheaper, and then they're going to give the money directly to China.
How do points come into this? This is, I have to say, when we first started working with you, this is the part I didn't quite understand, but you use points and various strategies to help liberate people from relying on the status quo and the economy in order to travel.
Yes. Well, one is everything I just spoke about are all for the people out there and your listeners that actually paid for travel. Now, for me, I've never paid for an airplane ticket in the last 10 years. And I've traveled the world. I've been to 65 countries. I travel internationally, and I travel in business class, and I travel for free. And the next question you're going to ask me is, Roger, how do you do that? How do you travel for free?
Tell us the secret. Teach us.
And that is you have a strategy, and the strategy is from spending to get frequent flyer points to actually use those frequent flyer points instead of cash. So you get outsized value of your money. I mean, some of these business class tickets cost $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a ticket. And if you could pay for that by a fraction, or even at the economy ticket price, especially everybody in here knows how much ticket price has gone up over the last few years. And so one sense is I don't pay that because we pay in points. So points is a much better way to do this. So the training and the classwork or the instruction that we have is to teach people about the system and about how airlines work And it's like when to book your tickets, and also how to book your tickets, and also how do you do like a plan B flight and work for your plan A flight that you want to fly. So one sense is, we're on your side. We want to have the airlines, to make sure that you get the best experience possible, or even fly a little bit better. So we teach people that on our training courses.
And this is for everybody, right? This isn't just like business travel or anything like this. Anybody can benefit from your mentorship here.
Steve, that's a great question, because actually we have two tracks. Okay, the first track are primarily for individuals. So it's like an individual, which is a person that they just said, and people say it's like, do I have to be a millionaire to do this? And we're saying like, look, you're just not spending your what you're currently spending your money on wisely. And so what we say is like, here's having a more strategic way of spending the spending that you're currently doing to achieve your travel goals. Okay. The other group are businesses. Okay. The businesses are we have a whole area about how to leverage your business to let your business generate points for you and your family. So I know you have a lot of listeners out there that are small business owners, and I'm telling you that they're not leveraging their businesses enough to achieve travel for free. And we show them how to do that in our training videos.
Well, that's what we found out when we had our cruise. And I should tell you guys that Roger was very gracious to work with my wife a bit to help secure a ticket for my daughter, her first solo trip to Japan, which they did. And my wife was incredibly grateful for Roger's mentorship. Gang, this is wonderful stuff. I mean, what we try to do here on this channel is to show you what's going on in the world, the economy, the politics, and the like, and then position yourself in the most optimal way so that you don't survive, you flourish. So Roger's company, Miles Mentor, they've helped thousands of people, myself included, travel the world. And here's the key: for free. That's a dramatic reduction in price. He has systems, training, education to help you avoid the elitist price hikes in the coming years, and maybe even travel more than you ever have before at the fraction of the price. It's a win-win. So scan the QR code, click the link in the description, and learn how Roger can help you travel more frequently and for free. Roger, thanks so much for being with us. Great to see you again.
Thanks for the time. I thought this was an opportune time, because there is a lot of change, and it's like all I want to do is get this information out to your listeners.
And you did. It's awesome. And you're exactly right. We've got 2 months before the big days where let's position ourselves optimally to enter into the golden age. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you very much. I'll see you then.